Just what you take away from film from Monday night?
Yeah, pretty much. How we felt after the game. You just got to score in the red zone. That's the name of the game, and I thought we did a good job getting down there. But we just got to find ways to execute, stay sharp, stay focused, and make sure we're scoring points there.
You brought up the red zone a few times. You guys only technically had one trip into the red zone. So are you speaking more about a broader area of the field and
Yeah. When I referred to the red zone, I assumed 30 yards and in, 40 yards and in. I think we were there a couple times, and even if we get down there within field goal range, I think that's still a point to be aggressive and to convert on those. But especially if you get down there, you got to make sure you're walking away with points. And thankfully, we've got a kicker like we do. But I apologize. I meant long range.
I'm curious how you sort of think about it. So your concept of it is if you're in field goal range, you're sort of associating that with the red zone. Red zone offense.
Yeah. So probably within the 40, 30-yard line, you're thinking, we got to walk away with some points here.
Justin, what did you see that wasn't happening? What didn't click? Anything specific?
In the red zone?
Yeah, when you got down there.
No, we just got to execute. We got the right plays, we got the right guys out there. That's on us as an offense to go execute the plays that we know that we can run. And it wasn't our day, unfortunately. But it's not going to stop us from watching the film, getting better from it, and learning and moving on. There's a lot of things that we can correct and clean up, but there's a lot to look forward to as well.
Just the receivers kind of grouped in the locker room and said they talked about how they need to be better. Do you appreciate hearing that group is kind of doing that and holding themselves accountable in that way?
I think that's just something that the receivers always do. They hold themselves to a very high standard, and they take a lot of pride in their work. It wasn't our best day, but I know that they came out today with a great attitude, great work ethic, and we made all those corrections that we needed to. So it's an incredible group of guys that we have there, and very fortunate to be able to throw to them.
I know you don't obviously share everything for game plan and stuff. When you say corrections, are there specific things from this game that you feel like, I didn't mention the red zone, outside of the red zone issues that you guys can do better at as an offense?
Outside of the game plan stuff, I think it's just staying sharp and staying focused and making sure that we're doing everything that we're coached to do during the week, and making sure that we're taking that coaching and applying it to the game. And it's a tough game. Guys are doing everything they can out there. So I saw a lot of good things from them on Monday night. It's just that red zone thing that we got to keep working on.
In the 2-minute drill, you guys at the end of the half, you hit Josh down the right sideline. It looked like it was initially a vertical route. How did you is that just a chemistry thing where he's going to break that off if the play extends? Was that a design route? Can you sort of walk through?
Yeah, it's a great play by him. It's one of those plays that we called to get up on the ball to get going. He ran his initial route. I broke out of the pocket, and what he's coached to do is to either, kind of depending on where the other receivers are, to find the best spot for him to go make a catch, go make a play. And he went long, came back, realized that I was rolling to the right, so he kind of broke back. And then it's one of those, just trust those that you go out there and that he's going to get his feet in and go up and catch it, and he made an incredible play on it.
It looked like you when you released it, you hadn't really broke yet. So is there sort of an anticipation there? You obviously spent a lot of time with Josh since he was drafted here, where you guys are on the same page, and he's going to break in a certain direction.
Yeah, then I think it would come down to that trust, the faith that he's going to go up and get the ball. And as a quarterback, we're always taught it's our ball or no one's. And so whenever you're rolling out, especially in a 2-minute drill like that, you want to be smart with the ball. So you can't leave it inside, and it's either he's going to catch it or it's going to be out of bounds, and we're going to go to third down.
How does that trust progress with Josh? Since he was drafted here, and then also at the beginning of the year, he was maybe in and out a little bit with some injuries, but now he's been consistently in the lineup. How have you seen that trust with him specifically growing these last few games?
Yeah, I think it started a couple of years ago. Especially when he showed up here, he did such a great job picking up the offense and learning from the guys in front of him. And when there were some injuries, he had to step up big time over the past couple of years, and he's found a way to make plays. And whether it's F, Z, or X, he's able to fill all those roles. And so, especially when he gets healthy and he gets back to his usual self, it's been a lot of fun to throw him the ball, because something good's going to happen, and he's going to go compete for the ball.
I can ask you about the Saints. They're a team, they started out on fire, scoring a lot of points, and now they've lost a bunch, 5. When you see that team, what do you think of that team?
We think about those games early on where they took it to their opponents. They're much better than their record indicates. We got a lot of respect for their defense, especially their offense as well. They've got some guys on the back half that are really able to make some plays. I know they've had a few injuries, but the guys that have stepped up have made big plays as well. So you got to be aware of a couple guys on that field, especially where they are. But we got a healthy respect for them for sure.
Is your watching the film back, obviously, number of plays that might have been there for receivers, tight ends, off their hands, that sort of thing, some drops. When you're talking about corrections, when you watch plays like that, are you looking for ways that you can do better, or are there certain plays where you put it in a spot, you're like, I'm okay with that throw, and I'm just going to keep sort of doing that and hope that the guys, at some point, make those plays?
Yeah, I think I could probably speak on behalf of my corrections that I saw from the game. I think there were a lot of those incompletions where I could have thrown a better ball. I could have, put it closer onto him, and there are definitely some plays where I could have flipped the protection. I could have done things differently, and that happens with every game. You're going to watch the film, and you're going to see things from a different perspective instead of behind center. So when you get that that viewpoint, you're able to kind of be more critical about it. But flipping protections, a couple better balls here and there, and then there were a couple third down. There was one where I took a sack where I could have changed the protection too. So there are things like that I was referring to.
Yeah, and then on a general level, as you're making corrections, are there going to be some incompletions where you're okay with the play, like where you're not correct?
Yeah. The tough part about the NFL sometimes is, quarterbacks are taught, hey, an incompletion is better than an interception or a turnover. You're not trying to incomplete any. You try to complete every single pass and move the chains, and sometimes the defense gets you. They're in the perfect coverage, or they've got everyone covered, and the worst thing that could happen is a turnover or taking a sack and getting out of field goal range. So sometimes there are incompletions where you're like, hey, you did everything you could, but or you can throw a better ball. So it's kind of along those lines, but I thought there were a lot of good plays, big plays made by our receivers as well.
Something to address the team, like after warm-up lines, before practice days, like, is that something you usually do? I feel like we don't usually see you do that when we watch practice. We only watch a little bit, but you remember this?
Yeah, it's either Derwin or I. So it's one of those things where we kind of pick on the day, and he'll let me know, or I'll let him know. Usually I'm out there.
Like, what was the message at least today for you, Aaron?
Oh, we were talking about the tempo. Now I understand what you're saying. Yeah, we were talking about the tempo for practice. So usually it's just a quick break where we huddle everyone up and say, hey, let's be sharp, focused. But today it was just talking about the tempo and making sure that everyone was following the right guidelines.
So was it different tempo than it normally was?
Yeah, so we were just making sure that everyone's kind of gliding, striding, getting their depth on every single route. But at the same time being smart, because it was less than 48 hours we played a football game.
And that's what Jim was talking about with everybody.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Usually it's just a quick break.
From a big picture perspective, I know every game is important, but when you're 3-3, does it feel a little more pivotal? Like you don't want to go under 500, like you want to keep climbing?
I think it's just one of those things where you just go out and compete. You play football and understand that we've got a great opportunity this Sunday. We've got a great team coming here to play, and we got to do everything we can to be at our best on Sunday. We got to learn from what happened on Monday, continue to game plan, do everything we can during the week so that we're ready to go on Sunday.
Where do you feel like the run game's at?
I thought we did a lot of good things. We didn't run the ball as well as we would have liked the entirety of the game. But to have those two tackles back, I think that only helps. Everyone's still kind of getting settled in, and we're still finding our identity on offense. And so as long as we're able to do that and put everything together, whether it's the run game, pass game, marry it together, I still think we're finding our way, but we're improving and we're getting a lot better as well.
When you face a team that's had some losses like the Saints have, do you ever sense a vibe in the game from the other team, or can you feel struggles or desperation, that kind of thing, from a losing?
Not usually. The NFL, the margins are so thin that, every team is competitive. The Saints are a very good football team. They're much better than their record indicates, and kind of like I said earlier, they've got really talented players. They're the best of the best, and each week is a tough physical matchup, and we know that we can't take anyone lightly. in this league, especially. And we know we've got a healthy amount of respect for them. We've had to watch a lot of film, and we're going to do that every week. But you can never take anyone lightly.
Just going back to what you just said about the running game, just finding the identity offensively. 6 games in, why do you feel like you guys maybe haven't sort of established that identity or found it fully?
Yeah, I think it's always tough with a new offense. You're never going to find it within camp, or you're never going to find it within OTAs. It's about going through the trials, and I think we're 6 games in, and we've definitely run things that we've been good at. We've definitely seen things that we could be better at. But G-Rose, he's done a great job of putting everyone out there in a position to win. And kind of like I said, a couple of weeks ago, whether it's running the ball or passing the ball, we're going to do what we can that week to win. And if there are times where we think we need to throw it 40 times, we're going to throw it a bunch. And if we need to run it, we're going to run it. And so we got complete trust in those guys upstairs. But, there are always things that we can do better offensively.
Do you think the injuries have played a factor in finding that identity? Obviously, you're out of your camp, you had the ankle, you're down to Sean and Joe for a period of time. Do you think DJ's been out? Quentin's now been out for a game. Do you feel like the moving pieces at all within a new offense has sort of impacted you guys discovering that?
Yeah, I think it definitely can make an impact. You want to be out there for every single rep, and you'd love to have all 11 guys out there every single time. But that's part of the game where you're going to have guys step up, and you're going to find out more about those guys that are stepping up, and knowing that, hey, if someone does go down, we've got a guy that's able to step in there and fill that role. But yeah, losing guys to injuries is never fun, and you want to make sure that those guys get those meaningful reps, even if they're not practicing. They're watching the film, and those guys are getting their work in. So as long as everyone's doing that, I think we're going to keep building on it.
Going back to the run pass thing, do you know ahead of time that this might be a game, or that might be a game where you're going to pass more? And do you often find out, maybe after a series or two, yeah, we got to run more, or we got to pass more? Is that just sort of a up in the air thing, play it by ear?
Yeah, I think that would probably be Coach Roman would probably be able to give you a better answer on that. I know that you got your plays for the week, you got the game plan, you got a general idea of where it's going to go, but you don't really know until he starts calling it and starts getting a feel for the game. And say we're going into a game and we're thinking we're going to throw the ball a bunch, and our offensive line is getting after him. The game plan might switch. It might be, hey, we've got these plays, let's get to this, and let's run the ball. So it's really kind of how the game goes. There's always ideas of how you want to attack a team going into the week, going into the game, but everything kind of changed like that.
Are you guys in sync that way, or will you say, hey, look, we got to throw more. We can beat these guys here or there, or conversely, like you said, the line is really busted and wide open.
I think he's got a pretty good feel for that. I think that's one of those things that we've communicated and we've talked about, and he's got a good feel for it. If he's seeing something, and my job personally is to understand why he's calling something. If he's calling a certain pass play, I want to know, hey, he's thinking this is the coverage, this is what he's going to get, this is what he wants. And I'm just trying to be an extension through him to the offense and making sure that everyone's on the same page, running the play for what it's meant to be. And if it's not and we have a wrong play, being able to have the tools to be able to switch it into a good play.